Suppose we'll kind of get started a little bit here with some intros. I'm Marissa and David, the other person who's been speaking. We've been two of the facilitators of this Agile Games Twin Cities meetup group now for, gosh, I don't know, is it 3 years now, I don't know,
I think
lost
it's
track.
I think it's four actually.
Four. I don't even know. So yeah, we were in person for like 2 months before COVID hit, and then
Mm.
everything just, the world changed. And so here we are meeting virtually. And we have the meetup group now. So some of you may have found us that way. You may have seen our LinkedIn posts between me or Tim or Chris or David or any of us sharing our LinkedIn posts. And then we also have a Slack channel. You can definitely join that. Chris pushes out like a little newsletter, not newsletter, reminder emails for the events and stuff. And then we have our AGTC website as well, where you can go back and you can find the previous things that we've done, the previous games, the summaries, and if there's files or whatnot to steal, you can grab those too. So lots of opportunities to connect with us. And then we're also always open if you have a game that you've seen somewhere that you'd like to share with this group, or maybe you've been thinking of something new that you'd like to try. We like to think of ourselves as a super safe space, lots of friendly folks. We're always up for trying new things. So if you want to bring a game to us in October or November, just feel free to reach out and let us know, and we can set you up. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce Tim. I actually met Tim through a book club, and he's a pretty cool guy here. He's a local govie most of his adulthood. Public service has been his lifelong passion. He has more than 30 years of experience as a leader, speaker, and geospatial, lean, and agile practitioner. Texas is home for Tim. He enjoys the success stories of his teams in a collaborative and professional management frameworks. GIS was his first love, and lean, agile, visual management is his new love. So thank you, Tim, for coming here today.
Of course. Thank you for inviting me too. This is fantastic. First of all, now I know not all of us are from Minnesota. Maybe the core group here might be. And I love that state. I first went there when I was 13 years old, and I literally cried when I had to go back home. I loved it so much. So I learned how to water ski in Minnesota. So it's always had a soft spot in my heart. And I was there for training, and I loved it. People don't usually say I love going to Minnesota in December, but it was the experience I was hoping for, right? It was cold. The airport shut down. I had everything I needed my first time in my life I ever saw a plane being de-iced. It was, it kind of wrapped I've been summertime Minnesota, winter or fall, I guess. And then getting to be part of this book club and meeting Marissa and some of her crew out there, it's been fantastic. So we started talking about, I found out that y'all have a games thing, which I absolutely love. And I find, and I try to do this as much as I can. I try to facilitate or be part of game events, because I think that, and David and I were talking a little bit earlier, is really a very easy way to learn. It's fun, it's exciting. In fact, there's a book out there by Stuart Brown called Play. If you haven't read it, maybe that should be one in the book club, Marissa, if that one hasn't been added already. But it actually describes play as how we as a species evolve, right? I mean, we play as kind of a way to try and experiment without harm. It's something that you can try. If it doesn't work, it's okay. You can change the rules. No one's gonna, it's not. It's a way to kind of learn from experience, learn from failure, learn from just trying things, from experimentation, and then grow from that. So, and I think this game Battleship, and I'm going to go ahead and share now, is perhaps, and I love that we only have a few minutes here, and I think I'm talking too much, it's a real simple game to show the importance of iteration if we're in a Scrum team, or if we're in software development. I'll just simplify it. I mean, right here it says the first game we're going to play is Battleships that shows delayed feedback. And I think the best way to do it is just get started. So if you're unfamiliar with the word game Battleship, it goes like this. You have a grid. We have 7 ships hidden in the sea here. And you have a grid that would I want the audience to come off mute and just start yelling coordinates out like A1, and then I'll just go ahead and click that, and we'll see if we get a hit. And we've got, I guess, 4 minutes now. We got 30 shots. So if you want to just scream out coordinates, we'll go ahead and I'll go ahead and start to, see if we get hits or not. So just yell it out.
H8.
H8. Okay.
D4.
B4.
E4.
E4.
A8.
A8.
B7.
E7.
C6
D6.
or C, but well, either one.
Okay, C6. There we go.
F5.
F5.
E6.
We're really bad at this.
What was the last?
E6.
E6. Okay.
But how about an F2?
F2.
H1.
H1.
C2.
C2.
D2.
H2.
H2.
D2.
E2.
D. But E
Oh,
is also-
B2.
H3.
D3.
H3.
D3.
D3. Got 13 more.
Oh man.
H4.
D5.
D8.
One more time.
D as in
D8.
dog.
Oh, D8. Okay.
A5.
A5.
C3 and C4. Give me both of them.
Okay.
D1.
D1. 7 more.
C1.
C1.
G4.
G4.
H4.
4.
G6.
Was it B6?
G.
Oh, G6. 2 more.
A3.
A3.
I think mathematically we're
How about A2?
A2.
Yeah.
Alpha 2. Okay. Okay, so let's see how we did. Did we get all 7?
It's a big ship.
Yeah, we got a lot of ships.
Oh, I
We got
see what-
7 ships. This is the grid. So let's just see how we did. Here it confirm shots. Boom. So we sunk 2. Fantastic. We got 7 hits, but this is what delayed feedback is, right? So we scatter shot. We got as many shots as we could, and we did okay. Do you think? Well, let's continue. So all right, so we got 2 ships. That's fantastic. So now let's play this version of the game with instant feedback. So we're going to do the exact same premise. I want to hear y'all yell out coordinates, but now we're going to know right away if we got a hit or not. So why don't we get started?
B2.
B2. Okay, no hit.
H8.
H8. Nope.
H4.
H4.
D4.
D4. We got a hit. You can't hear it, but we got a hit. So that's a
E4.
hit symbol. Say it again.
E4.
E4. No hit.
D5.
D5. You sunk a ship.
C4.
C4. Hit.
B4.
B4. Sunk another ship.
B7.
What was that? B7?
Beta.
Bravo 7?
Yeah,
Okay.
Bravo 7.
That's a
B8.
hit.
B8.
D8.
B8.
B8. Okay. Okay. No hit.
C7.
C7. Hit.
D7.
D7. Hit.
E7.
E7.
E7. Yeah, there you
Oh.
go.
All right.
Nice.
F3.
F3.
G2.
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 H1.
H1.
G6.
G6.
D2.
D2.
A6.
A6.
C5.
A5. Hit.
Oh, C5.
C5.
A4.
A4. Hit.
A3.
A3. Hit.
A2.
A2.
A2. Nope.
All right.
A7.
A7.
Boom. Got the big one. Okay. We got 2 minutes left. 5 shots. Let's see how can we technically we can sink the rest if we get all we
F5.
get them all.
Delta 8.
All right, say it one more time. Delta 8. No hit.
F5.
C1.
F5. C1. 2 more.
F8.
F8.
F8. Hit.
E8.
Last shot.
Pick the right one.
G. You want G8?
Oh boy.
Golf 8?
Yeah.
Is that what we said? All right, here we go. Last one. Oh, no hit. Okay, so let's just do a quick retrospective. Technically, let's continue here. I think we'll do a comparison. So on delayed feedback, and we did the same amount of shots for both versions of the game. With the delayed feedback, we got 7 hits. With instant feedback, we got 14. So let me just stop right there. How did you feel about the first game? Any comments about the first game?
You were just shooting blind. You had no idea if you were on the correct track or not. So it was a bit boring.
So has anyone had an experience like that in their work or in their experience, like their work experience, or does anybody want to share something that seems similar to, that has had delayed feedback before? Have you ever worked on
Batch
projects?
deliveries. It's big batch deliveries.
Okay.
Which,
And
yeah,
does
another way
that,
to say it. Waterfall.
yeah. Well, so and that's, well, okay. Let's switch over to the instant feedback. What was the difference? Like, what made Yaron, you said it was the first game was kind of boring, and was the second game any more exciting?
Yeah, because as soon as you hit something, then at least you had something to aim for. And we also heard multiple people saying the same things directly around the first hit. So and there was collaboration and it was focus, because as soon as you hit something, you were focusing on that area of the map, hopefully to score the next one.
Fantastic. So has anyone had projects similar to that? Where you do get instant feedback, and how did that project go?
I worked with projects where we did continuous delivery. So basically, whenever we made a change, it went live, especially with a seasonal product. So as soon as we made the change to the website or change to the registration flow, we could instantly see what the effect was on the number of orders that were coming in.
Right.
Or not.
Right. And then you can make maybe targeted decisions after that. Like that thing didn't work, but we can make this subtle adjustment and something else. I was mistaken. We got 4 ships down instead of 2. So that was the other thing, is that I think we kind of delivered. We had a better delivery on the second game. So what I've heard is that instant feedback game version was more fun. There was more collaboration. There was more strategy. And we actually delivered more here. What I love about this game is it takes literally 10 minutes, or we'll just say 20 minutes, to see the value of, or see the difference between delayed feedback and instant feedback. And then it's up to us to see how we're going to now apply that to our teams to see how we can work on projects a little bit. Maybe we shift and work on projects a little bit differently based on this experience, or maybe this just confirms that yes, because we're being iterative, because we're getting constant feedback from our customers, this is an effective way. And if you ever need to sell that to someone else, this might be an easy game to do. So I know Marissa's going to share the link with the group. But the other thing I want to share too, and I just want to kind of toss it over to Marissa, is she created a version, because not everybody can play these kind of games in the office or on their work computers and those kinds of things. So Marissa, do you want to share what you've been working on?
Yeah, I can steal the screen share from you here and just move things around. Yeah, so yeah, like Tim said, we recognize that a lot of these times we share these sites and then people can't get to them at their workplace because game sites are blocked. So I took some time to recreate this version in an Excel spreadsheet, and we will share this out with all of you as well. It's not super perfect, so if you're Excel savvy and you want to change up some things with it, feel free to do so. I just gave you the bones to work with. But there's 2 tabs, just like how we played 2 rounds with Tim. There's 2 tabs, one for round 1 and one for round 2. And in round 1, it's just, there's the box here calling out the grid, just like you were earlier, the coordinates. And then you just put a lowercase o in whatever box the person calls out, and it'll just highlight for the hit. So it plays quite similarly to what we just saw on the URL version. And there's a little hit counter over here too to show you how many hits you have left. And similar to the first, to what we just played, you don't know how you're doing. There is an answer key over here to the side, so you can reveal that and kind of compare and see how well you did. So that's the first round. And then for the second round, we did the same thing. It's just a little bit different. There's more color coding this time. So folks will call out their ships, and let me see if I can remember. The color coding will be a yellow if you totally miss. There will be, let's see, green if you hit, and it should turn totally red once you sunk a ship. And then there'll be the ship that you hit will gray out on the battleship key, so that way you kind of know, like, oh, I got that 3-cell one or that 4-cell one or whatever. So we put a little bit of conditional formatting in there to help. And then again, there's a key over here, so you can kind of compare and see where you're at with the group. So yeah. Any questions? Or I went through that kind of fast, but any questions on that spreadsheet version?
Looks great. Thank you for doing that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's fantastic.
Yeah.
So I've actually done
does anybody have any, let's just kind of open it up, and
I think Jeff,
any
you were about to say
questions
something.
anybody want to share?
Yeah, I was curious, just to share experiences, I've used a derivation of this in teaching Scrum foundations. But what I do with it is I actually divide the class into 2 and have them go into a breakout room and form their own board privately, and then come back and not even tell them which one is predictive versus adaptive, and have them play against each other. And immediately it's great. Like they kind of get, wait a minute, that's not cool. But it's, just a different way to do the same thing.
I like that. That's fantastic.
I'm just going to paste in an image, because I do it in Mural. And so I just basically have them do the boards, privately in Excel, right? But then coming back, they can see the shots that are kind of happening.
Awesome.
Love it.
Did you make a template of that in Mural? Did you share it?
I do, but it's locked down to my company. So if you give me a place, I can copy stuff over. But yeah, so if there's a public place, I can copy and paste things into it.
I'm also wondering, in the game itself that we played with the website, the time is calculated or tracked. With Excel, do you also track the time, or are you going to skip that one?
I did not put that functionality in there.
But I'm wondering, would tracking time also add something to the debrief? So which one is faster? Yeah. What is the normal rate of success? Or would you get the same learning without tracking time?
Yeah, I noticed when we were going through it that the second time we did it, we were just 20 seconds longer. So we took slightly longer, but we were significantly better. So showing that taking that little extra time might help you deliver a better product.
Very good point.
Could be. I was wondering, initially I was surprised a bit that the second time took longer. And then, yeah, why was that? Because we were actually collaborating, interacting, or
I think there's
cannot
something to
multiple
be.
reasons. So that's why I was wondering, does it actually matter if we track time or not?
I think there's something to be said for, at the first one, halfway through, I think we started to just like, well, we don't know if it's going to be good anyway, so just do whatever, get it over with. And I've seen that on teams where it's like, well, let's just get through all the work because we don't know if it's going to work or not. So like, let's just get through it. We're not going to worry about it. We're not going to worry about making it better, or doing the right thing. Whereas slowing down to like calculate in our heads for the second one. All right, well, we have ships of 2 left. Let's try to get to the spots where we can eliminate more possibilities. So yeah, it's the like, do it right the first time and you'll get better results if you can. So that situation. So yeah, I think that was a cool additional piece to this.
Has anyone tried
And
playing
Jeff,
it the
I'm
other way?
kinda
So we play it. Oh, sorry.
Go ahead, Chuck. I'm sorry.
Oh, I was just wondering, the thought occurred, if you played it the other way around, where first you played the sort of normal way where you get feedback, and then you said, okay, we're going to play the game again without the feedback, and how frustrating would that be? And sort of the same
Yeah,
idea.
I think
okay, we do a lot of
perfect.
times we do this with the project.
The time element might be interesting to like if you play the first round with no feedback and then you do track the time till like, and have the automation only knows when you're totally complete with the game. Then when you've sunk all the battleships, then it like reveals the time and all that kind of stuff. Then the game ends like at that point. So then you could do a comparison of time at that point. But I kind of agree with the other comment about, is time relevant? The fun thing about metrics is sometimes you can just like, if it's free, okay, we can track it, but then we can also say, is this relevant? Is this relevant information to what we're seeing? And if not, then like there are some times where we want to like, hey, this whole whatever build process takes this long and it needs to be shorter, right? That's relevant. But then that's used for improvement. But the next whatever iteration or whatever, we might not focus on time as a metric, a valuable metric at that point. But if we know that whatever build time starts increasing by X%, then we can implement some sort of reaction metric on there. So I think it's interesting to talk about that as a like time, as sometimes it's relevant, other times it's not.
I was thinking in this case, right, we kind of took the complexity out of it. So both games were exactly the same as far as function. And I think maybe, Corrine, am I saying your name right? Sometimes it might take a little time with that focus or that strategy. And that, I think for this case, that might be something worth looking at. I was going to ask Jeff, when you did this in breakout rooms, did you track time in there?
Yeah,
in
so
that
when we broke them into breakout rooms, it was just to set up the private board. So it took basically 5 minutes for them to start to remember how many ships there were.
Okay,
and so once those 5 minutes were up, we came back and then we fired the shots all together. And there really wasn't a time limit. I mean, it was like kind of hassling them. So one thing I like about what you got there is like it's, quicker. But
yeah.
I mean, usually in the breakout room, we'll also tell them to elect a shot caller. So that way we know who's the person, right? So then we can just hassle an individual person, like take feedback from your team, but you've got to call, the shot.
Yeah. Well, just to reiterate how nice I see folks from Minnesota are, I saw that y'all were taking turns, right? So there wasn't a lot of just, after a while, you sort of got into this groove where I'd kind of hear one voice as they go along, which I thought was fantastic. So, but I like, there's a self-organizing part of this too. Like you said, Jeff, if the team elects someone to call out, maybe that's more efficient. And, but every game might be different. How our experience today may be different when you take this back to try it with your teams. But it's just a real simple way to show the difference between delayed feedback and instant feedback. And that's what I love about it.
You can even do a debrief on team dynamics there. So what happened there? Who was the first one who called the shots? What was happening there? Probably too much for one exercise.
Right. I mean, and like I said, it's this version is free. As long as you have access to the internet and your company allows you to get it. So yeah, you can play it again. Like maybe the team wants to see, like, I think I can do better than thinking 4 ships, and just see that kind of improvement too, and just see how the dynamic changes in the strategy. It's one of those real simple ways to see value. Well, thank you very much for allowing me to join you this morning. This has been fantastic. Marissa, when's the next event? What's up next?
Well, the next one would be scheduled for October 12th, which we don't have anything yet. So that's what I mentioned earlier. If anybody has an idea on something they'd like to try, maybe you've seen something, or maybe you've been noodling on something that you want to try and see how it works, let us know. You can reach out to, I see Chris is on now, and Ed, so you can reach out to me, Chris, Ed, Dave, David, any of us, and we can get you set up for October or November if you need more time. So yeah, just reach out to us. And at some point I'll get a summary over to Chris, and he'll do all the magical things to get summaries and the videos loaded, and we'll make sure that these files are attached with it as well, so you can go back and grab the URL or the templates or whatever you need to facilitate these games with everyone. So I don't anything else, Chris, Ed, David?
No, thank you for sharing this. This is awesome. My head's spinning. I'm already going to use it in something that I've got coming up.
And I think selfishly, the part that gets me the most jazzed is I've been looking for lots of little things. Like Tim said earlier, this takes like 10 minutes to drive home a point. And sometimes, like, especially if you're working with leadership or something, you only have like 5-10 minutes tops to like make a point. So these are perfect little nuggets to bring in.
Has everybody here, I mean, have y'all played Battleship when you were younger? Yeah, so I think that's part of it too. It just kind of like, it's almost reminiscent, or there's like a nostalgia about it too, that's part of the, when you when I see that faces when the game pops up, everyone's like, oh, I know this, I've done this before. So you sort of have some confidence going in that it's not, you don't have to spend a lot of time explaining, and you can just get right into the value of the game. Well, I shared my LinkedIn contact, so y'all can, please connect with me at any time. Go ahead, Jeff. I'm sorry.
Yeah, one thing that I found in the runs that I do is there also does seem to be a cultural element to it. So usually people who've immigrated into the United States don't know Battleship. So we're usually having to explain the rules a little more, to some folks. So it's interesting that, some people it's nostalgic and let's just do it. And others, it's like, we kind of have to cover the rules, and figuring out that is sometimes frustrating, not knowing.
That's a really good point. Because I just rolled right into the game without really spending any time on explaining it. But I was hoping that once you kind of got the hang of just rolling off coordinates, that maybe you'll get it after that. But yeah, that's a good point, Jeff.
Yeah, well, that's the downside of the way that I was running it, because they have to know how to do it in order to set up the board, versus the way you're doing it. It's like you figure it out, right? And I love that.
Good.
I think that's a wrap for today, unless there was something else that I'm totally glossing over. All right. Well, thanks everyone for joining us in the middle of the afternoon or the day, morning, however this was for you. And we look forward to seeing all of you again. So thank you.
Fantastic.
Thank you.
Thank y'all very much. We'll see you.
Have a great day.
Bye.
Bye-bye.